how would I describe Ryan Reeves' appetite? Uncanny. You know, if they were to film that, they'd be able to sell it to the show When Animals Attack, or Ripley's Believe It or Not. The guy is incredible. He breaks a sweat eating. That's how much effort and energy he puts into devouring a meal. And not just a meal. Let me tell you something. What he sits down at a dinner table at Bennigan's and eats could feed a family of 4 in Afghanistan for a month. It's insane. We go to your shoot, we go to a video shoot, you know, the little portrait shoot, and of course there are balance bars and Ritz Bits and protein bars. Look over, and Ryan's got this look on his face. And he's got his hands in his front of his pockets, in his sweatshirt pockets. And Bill goes, "What do you have in your pockets?" "Oh, nothing, Bill." He pulls out one protein bar. Bill goes, "What's in the other pocket?" "I can't lie." Reaches in, a whole handful, like 4 balance bars, a couple Ritz Bits bags, God only knows what else, cookies, mints, and Bill's like, "Put them back." And he's like a little kid. He's like, "Do I have to?" And he's put them back. He goes, "All right." So he puts them back. 15 minutes later, "Ryan, what do you got in your pockets?" Again, reaches in, 2 protein bars. "What do you got in the other pocket?" "Bill, what do you got in the pocket?" And he pulls it out. It's like a little kid. He's gotten caught again with his hand in the cookie jar, but instead of 1 cookie, he's got 25. It's constantly like that. And then all I hear from him when we went to the Penthouse Boutique, "I'm hungry. I'm hungry." I said, "Well, when we get done, we'll go to Cracker Barrel." "Cracker Barrel? I've read about that. We don't have any out in Las Vegas. I can hardly wait."
This ain't WCW. This ain't Monday Night Raw. This ain't SmackDown. This ain't even WWE.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Time restraints, a 30-minute time limit.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Marks on Commentary. I'm Jason Smith.
And I'm Eddie Brophy.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
That story was almost as brilliant as, a Daniel Bryan interview, where they explained that he, I want to say it was Kofi maybe, they took Ryback to Panera Bread, and he just got angry looking at the menu. Because he didn't understand Panera Bread. Which I can't blame him, because it's not real food.
The worst part is that, like, that interview and that story he tells goes on for, like, another, 5 minutes when you listen to the whole thing, and he just talks about how much food Ryback, oh my god.
I love that story.
It's one of my favorite things ever.
Well, we are Marks on Commentary. I'm Eddie Brophy.
I'm Jason Smith.
I'm Catherine.
Yeah, that only took wonderful, guys, wonderful. We practiced this.
Well, normally you cut us off and we don't get to introduce ourselves.
Well, you didn't give me bullet points this week, and my brain is just not functioning on the level that it normally does. If you've read my
You also just normally introduce me for me, so I don't have to do that myself, but I guess I can take over that responsibility.
I'm feeling lazy, and my friend earlier, I was like, "Hey man, I have pizza, you know, the kind that you put in the oven and you heat up and then you eat." And he just kind of stared at me for a few seconds, and he was like, "You know, because they have pizzas that you don't have to heat up." It took me 5 minutes to figure out that he was being sarcastic. And I looked like Festus. Like, my tongue was just kind of hanging out. My eyes were just kind of, glazed over. And as he described it, it was almost as if, there was, a small man in my head just pouring gasoline all over his office and just lights the match and jumps out one of my ears. So I'm having that kind of night tonight. But
all right.
Well, Jason and I last Sunday, Jason and I were at Slammiversary at the Agganis Arena.
Yep. It's a good time.
That's all he has to. This asshole stuck a camera in my face about 9 times. Kept yelling at me because I wouldn't. We start off, we get there, and they're really, really playing. Not to mention the entire left side of the Agganis Arena was blocked off because they couldn't sell enough tickets. And if you watch it on TV, I noticed that when I saw pictures, it was darker in the arena than it really was. So they couldn't see all the tickets they weren't selling. But so you sticking a camera in my face, and they're trying to get the crowd into it, and they're just like, the person or the people that cheer the loudest get to go backstage. And, of course, Jason being the opportunist, let's cheer really loud so we can get backstage and mingle with people and tell them about this podcast we're doing. And I felt like such a dick because between the train ride there and then being there, I just immediately kind of went into nope. And just kept my arms folded every time the camera came by. There's Jason being a fan, and I'm so excited to be here. And there's Eddie with his arms folded. Nope.
Okay, Dean Ambrose.
Yep, not at all. Nope.
Yep.
Can I just say, and I don't care who I insult when I say this, wrestling fans are disgusting. And they smell really bad, especially in close quarters.
That train ride back was nasty.
The train ride there, Jason and I know Jason was loving every second of this because Jason's really pulling for the show. Like, he even asked me, he's like, hey, do you think there's anyone here that, listens to us? Again, I'm still arms folded. Nope.
Somebody was, but
Yeah, he was there. But so these kids on this train start asking Jason and I all these questions, all these wrestling-related questions. Now, I've never wanted to punch a 12-year-old harder in the face. One thing I really can't stand are people who know less than me that create the illusion. I don't care if it's a 7-year. If a 7-year-old gets really condescending with me, I want to bitch slap the shit out of them. And this one kid's like, so, do you like Ryback? No. Do you like... And he's asking me all these, like, TNA characters. I'm like, dude, if it's Black Macho Man, or if it's not Black Macho Man or, like, Shark Boy, I don't know who the fuck you're talking about. And then he's like, have you ever heard of DX? Meanwhile, I'm thinking to myself, like, you're like 12, I'm 20. Jason, just humor him. Just humor him. I'm done. But yes, overall, the pay-per-view experience on my behalf, I actually had a really good time. And there was some guys sitting behind us who were fucking hysterical the whole show.
They were good.
For the price
I will say, it doesn't matter what wrestling show you go to. I've started going to a couple of independent shows, and if you're sitting with the right people, like, it could be the worst show in the entire world, but it'll still be fun.
Oh, the guys behind, I mean, we had a couple of smart marks behind us. Like, they were real marks, not, we do a podcast marks. No, these were actual marks. So like, if you asked a question about a wrestler, they know their date of birth, their social security number. They probably have several restraining orders from being, told stop stalking me. Catherine was not there, but...
No, I was not there for any stalking. I was not included in this trip.
Well, it was funny, too, because I remember on the train ride, one of the kids it was a train ride back with a small kid looks at his dad's like, do you think they're going to be at the Kowloon later? Like, I suddenly don't feel special as a wrestling fan anymore because a lot of stuff that would be considered like, oh, you're kind of a mark. Why do you know that? It's become like common knowledge now. But anyways, yeah, the guys behind us were great. The show overall, like, it didn't suck. Like, it wasn't the worst goddamn thing in the world, which is totally, again, Jason's all like, he's like an Asian tourist. He's taking pictures of everything. Like, he's taking pictures of the security guards, and he's taking pictures. Like, he's never been to Boston before. And he's just like, you want to take a picture, Eddie? Nope. I'm just like walking around like I felt so bad because I'm just like, I know this is going to be fun. Between the small children and the combination of BO and failure and shame, and Sting is balding, and then they showed the video of Sting entering the arena in broad daylight. Mind you, it was like 10 o'clock at night when they showed that, and Sting had already come out and was visibly on the stage for Kurt Angle's Hall of Fame introduction. Continuity, TNA, you do not have it.
Sad. But at least you guys don't have the problem going to wrestling shows that I have. I went to an independent show last night, and I literally spent the first 45 minutes trying to avoid a creepy old man that kept following me around wherever I was going. So at least you didn't have that problem. You had small, annoying children, but you didn't have creepy old men that went,
Catherine?
This is a 24-year-old girl in a skirt. I should clearly be creepy to her.
Okay, Catherine, perhaps we should make this a bit on the show. The etiquette of women going to wrestling shows. Don't look hot. Because you know what's going to happen? If you're a hot girl at a wrestling show, guys like me are going to see you walking around with the boyfriend that you brought and wonder to themselves, what am I doing wrong?
Okay, here's the problem. I wouldn't consider myself hot. I was wearing a dress, but that was because I had something else I had to do earlier in the day. And I was also there by myself, which I guess didn't really help things.
Don't they... Did you bring
Because creepy old men were like, we should befriend her so she isn't alone. And I was like...
Did you bring a rape
I'd rather
whistle?
be alone than hanging out with creepy old men.
I would have thought you would have brought a rape whistle. Like, I wanted a rape whistle. I had a total stranger when I was waiting in line for overpriced pizza. Noticed I was wearing a Kelly Kapowski shirt. Don't get me wrong, it made my whole night. But he gave me the biggest bear hug because of my T-shirt.
Did you feel molested?
I felt loved.
Or comforted?
For the first time in my life, I felt loved. But no, I mean, the show overall, there was some definite... I mean, Jason and I think, agreed on this. We went to the bathroom at the wrong match.
From what everybody's saying is like the knockout match was like the best match of the night.
Yeah, I mean, I don't follow anything on TNA, and I definitely heard that match was awesome.
Well, I know Gail Kim was in it, so obviously. It was funny because one of the things that one of the fans behind us brought up was Chavo Guerrero in that tag match, the tag elimination match. Chavo
Sorry,
Guerrero.
I can't take anything you say seriously now.
Oh, shut up. Chavo Guerrero. Chavo Guerrero was phenomenal, and one of the guys behind me was like, I don't understand it. He goes to TNA, and he wrestles these amazing matches, and you're like, holy fuck, he's really talented. But in WWE, like, his matches were so stale, and they just went on for way too long. Like, that's the thing I noticed with certain, former WWE stars that are now in TNA. Jeff Hardy still sucks. I'm whatever. I could not have been more bored during the Jeff Hardy tag match Samoa Joe was fantastic. Like, it was awesome seeing him. Did not give a shit about Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but notice that Mr. Kennedy kind of looks like a combination of Dean Ambrose and Dane Cook now. Like, to the point where I didn't even recognize that. I was just like, oh, wow, Dane Cook's here. Like, I had no aces and eights I'm still trying to catch up with, but... No,
if Dane Cook was there, they would have had to turn the cameras off.
But, like, the gut check match...
Nice.
Oh, my fucking God, was that terrible. That was such a bad fucking match.
Yeah.
Like, if you put Jason and I in a ring and we're like, hey, this is going to be televised, you're on pay-per-view right now, we probably could have done a better job than this.
Oh, no.
That's how bad it was. And I don't think either of us have a speck of athleticism in us. And at least we'd just be, like, pulling up pads from the floor and just throwing shit at each other. Like, I'd be reaching into the crowd for people's drinks and just splashing. Like, doing something to get people behind us.
Right.
Oh, my God. But the few highlights that I have is, like, Chavo Guerrero looked fantastic. The Kurt Angle match was fantastic. That was a great match. And I love the Bully Ray Sting match, for me, was match of the night, which seems a little cliche. I love how people are now readdressing the pile driver. Like, that's a thing again. Like, we can talk about it. This is a real move that was banned, and we're only going to use it once in a... I thought that was, like, the match from beginning to end was just fantastic. Like, it didn't drag. Like, nothing... Like, Sting's, like, in his 50s. Like, even the guys behind us, like, holy fuck, Bully Ray. He's in his 50s. Go easy, because he put Sting... How many tables did he put Sting through? Like, 3 or 4 tables?
At least 2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, like, from beginning to end, I thought... The thing that pissed me off, though, is that, kind of like WWE, I can already kind of see where they're going with this Hulk, Bully Ray, Brooke Hogan thing, which is that you're going to go 2 directions. She's either going to screw Bully Ray, or she's going to screw her dad. And I think a lot of people were waiting for that. And, of course, now, because nobody from the TNA locker room, because, again, this is like the WWE invasion angle, because nobody from the locker room came out to help Sting when Aces and Eights cost him the match, obviously, that's probably a heel turn for Sting.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Jason, your thought. Overall, I thought the experience was interesting. I thought the pay-per-view was all right. But it was cool to be that close to a ring at a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it was minor things that, like, pissed me off about just being there. Like, they have their Titantron-looking thing, and all it was 90% of the time was a TNA logo of some sort or something. And then when they'd get on the outside the ring area, then they'd broadcast it to the rest of the arena. And I'm like, well, I just want to watch this thing because, what's this? The seat's not, tiered or whatever. It's flat. So somebody stands up in front of you, you can't see shit. That's what pissed me off the most about the whole experience.
Now, what about the fun police? Because now, typically at a wrestling show, and I stopped bringing signs to wrestling shows, because even Jason and I were talking about this on the train. If you're in nosebleed, you're a dickhead if you bring a sign, because the camera's never going to see it. But you bring a sign anyway because you want to have fun. I've always gotten bitched at being a nosebleed with a sign, so I just stopped. I just said, whatever. This was an event where no matter where you sat, you were going to get on camera. In one way or another, you were going to get on camera. And these young kids, and I mean, for fuck's sake, man, it's TNA. Like, nobody really gives a shit. If you have a group of kids that walk in with signs and they're really into it, let them have fun with it. The security, I can't tell you how many times, like how many signs I saw get confiscated. You know, people being told to put their signs down, like people being told to sit down. Like, there was one point where security guard was yelling at this group of 20-year-olds to sit down during one of the matches, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
yeah. And like some little kid sitting on the tiered, not the tiered seat, but the rows of seating that we were in front of us, he stands on his seat to see over the people, and the security guard brushes him off like, sit down, sit down. I don't know.
So
that's horrible. I mean, when I went to SmackDown a couple of months ago, right after WrestleMania, like had floor seating. It was really annoying because there was a kid in front of me with a sign that like held it up all the friggin' time. So you had to be like, either you had to be like, hey kid, can you like lower your sign so I can actually see what's going on, or you had to do like the awkward side step around him, and then the people behind you get pissed off. So like there are times when it gets annoying when people have signs, but some of them are also really funny.
So should we establish what the rules are of bring a sign to an event?
I've always believed, and I think this is something like a good sign etiquette, which is when the person's coming out to the ring, perfectly acceptable to hold up your sign. That's when you want to hold it.
Yeah.
When the match is going on, nobody fucking cares. It's not about you. Put the goddamn sign away.
Yeah.
Unless your sign dispenses beer or gives blowjobs, I don't care how funny you think you are or how much of an artist you think you are not. Put the sign away.
That rule has a small exception if you're on front row hard camera side. That's it.
And at that point, most people like that. I mean, you get group signs, you get people who like create outfits, you get people that, you know, they'll hold their sign over the barricade. So they're not actually holding the sign up, they're just holding it over the barricade. And I mean, in which case that's security's decision to be like, all right, get rid of that. We don't want that out here. But I mean,
what was the? Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say I hate when people have like stupid inside jokes on signs that have nothing to do with wrestling, but then it's like in the way. You're like, but even if someone saw it, no one's gonna be able to understand what you're saying. So put your sign down and just watch the match, please.
What about the awesome sign we saw on the way in?
Oh my god! All right, so there are these guys, and this is why I'm so ashamed to admit I'm a wrestling fan at times. Everything about this pay-per-view was like a Freudian nightmare for me, because I take a lot of pride in the fact that I really, in my 20s, enjoy wrestling. I just think it's a lot of fun. When you start bumping into people your age that look the way you feel most days, and this one kid had a sign, and like I don't follow the whole Aces and Eights thing. I don't really watch TNA, but the big thing with Aces and Eights and all their coats, it says, you know, Aces and Eights support. This kid had Aces and Eights support. And I'm just staring at him and thinking, you are the illiterate, like, lowest common denominator that makes me so ashamed when I'm on a date with a girl. I'm like, do I talk about wrestling? Don't talk about wrestling. Don't talk about wrestling. Do you smell good? Did you brush your teeth? Do you at least sound relatively intelligent? Give it a few dates, then be like, yeah, I have this thing where I love wrestling. That's the thing that pops in my head all the time when it's like, people are like, oh, you actually watch wrestling? And it's like, how do I answer this question? Ace and Eight Sapot. Don't answer that question.
Yeah, that is an awkward thing. I mean, you know, right now I'm really not doing much for work other than freelance writing. And, you know, I write for Fan IQ, so I have my wrestling. And trying to explain that to people, like, what I do. I'm like, oh, I write for a sports website. And they're like, oh, do you write about, you know, like, the New England Patriots or the Boston Red Sox? I'm like, I write about wrestling? And they're like, oh, that's really cool. Do you, like, go to high schools and colleges? No, professional wrestling. And then it's just like, they're like, oh, well then.
The conversation just kind of did, pew.
Anywho.
It's like, we need to find a way to make it cool again.
Well,
to be like someone that watches wrestling. And I think it's by convincing other wrestling fans to shower and follow good hygiene and maybe take a literacy class.
I swear to God, there was this one girl, and I was laughing my ass off. Now, you got a train. Now, one kid, this is one, I don't know how old this guy is, and he was probably in his 20s, which makes it worse. Overweight, cargo shorts, really sweaty, just pit-stained T-shirt, with with a bedazzled goblet in his hand. And he looks like he had braces on his teeth, but like he tried to remove his braces and then like quit halfway through removing them. So he just left a couple of the brackets on his teeth. Like, oh no, that's cool. I look like T-Pain. I look like I got a grill. And I'm just staring at that kid, and then I look over, and this is, you know, semi-marginally attractive girl, college student, getting on the train. Just, you know, athletic clothes, looks up, and just sees the train full of us. Just, and I'm looking at her face, and she's just kind of looking at me, rolls her eyes, and just, like, shoves her way through this, like, just massive humanity, and just wondering to herself, Darwinism, how? How did you escape Darwinism? And she gets on the train, and she, like, tries to read her book. Meanwhile, you gotta know in your heart of hearts, I'm a guy, all right? This is legit a train of 60 dudes. Smell awful, just look like they just haven't showered it, and they're eyeballing her. Like, this is the first woman they've ever seen in the existence of mankind entirely. And all I keep thinking is, I am so out of here if this becomes a rape party, because you guys are eyeballing this chick. Like, she doesn't stand a chance. She's like 100-0, but she looked like she was in hell. Like, just the looks were kind of condescending, but I could kind of understand why. But, oh, man, that was my favorite part of the night, is just being like, yep, you're on this train with all of us. You get to smell what I've smelt all night. Enjoy. She became a lesbian after that.
Yeah.
All in all, though, I thought the experience was pretty fun. I mean, there were some people that, like, there was a dude walking around, like, head to toe, ace and eights. Like, I can't make fun of him because then you got to make fun of every asshole that goes to Comic-Con. Like, I appreciate when people go to a wrestling show and they want to have fun. Like, they want to get into it. There weren't too many people that got on my nerves, with the exception of just, like, wanting to throw them, like, a bar of soap and some shampoo and just be like, dude, take care of it. I don't care if you have to do it right here. Just take care of it. But, I mean, all in all, there was some good... The crowd was pretty hot. They popped for a lot of the wrestlers. I mean, I got to see Hulk Hogan live. So, scratch that off the bucket list, even if it was for, like, 5 seconds. And he... I think at one point he acknowledged the terrorists.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh,
that
God.
was awkward.
Oh, Hulk Hogan, why? Why?
What you gonna do when the terrorists come for you? What? Don't say that.
I know, I was just kind of like, that was so cheap. I'm just like, you coming to Boston literally weeks, you know, maybe a couple months after we catch those guys, and it's like, dude, I knew that was coming, though. I knew something stupid like hashtag Boston Strong was going to come up. Ugh. Someone was going to say something about, we're defeating the terrorists by being at TNA, brother. No, we're not. We're not at all. If anything, we're giving them more of a reason to come back.
You just reminded me, speaking of fan sign etiquette, somebody, I don't know if you caught it, had Angle Strong up in the crowd. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, didn't somebody just get, was it Toronto? Some fan got kicked out of them? Yeah.
Because they just said it was like Boston Strong, Toronto Stronger.
Yeah.
Like, they got a lot of hell.
It was a girl, so if she was a guy, I think she would have gotten her ass kicked.
It depends, though, because, I mean, you're talking the NHL, like, that was just a shit thing to do. If you're going to go after her, we have to go after where we come from, Jason. And I have no shame admitting this. Stone 'em Strong, really? Really?
I'm with you. I don't support it.
It's not it's a thing that happened. It's not a bumper sticker manifesto. This thing actually happened, but that's besides the point. Now we're being all doom and gloom, and Eddie hates everyone. Although it's kind of true.
And it's kind of how it ends every week.
Yes. We should just change the name of the show to Eddie Just Hates Things.
We change it to Eddie Hates Things, People Hate Jason, and Catherine Likes Hot Guys. And we'll just call it good.
People hate me?
Everybody hates you, Jason. Haven't you listened to our voicemails?
Yes.
Or Twitter feed?
Wait, what?
Fuck our Twitter feed.
I know. Jason's telling me he's getting in fights with these people on Twitter, and meanwhile it's... Oh, I've read some of those tweets, Jason. Punch me in the face, will you? Punch me in the face, will you? Again, for the record, I don't remember the password. You're talking to Jason. I have no idea what's going on. Like, I'm expecting one day some random fan to, like, come up to me and want to punch me in the face and be like, what's up? I saw what you wrote on Twitter. Awesome, because I didn't see what I wrote on Twitter because I didn't even know we had one. God damn it, Jason. You're going to get me in a lot of trouble one of these days. And I'm just going to have, like, some, like, 500-pound guy that... I wrote what you wrote on Twitter. You okay? Do you need a medic? Just looking real angry at me with the snaggletooth and shit, and just being like, all up in my shit. And I'm just like, I have this thing where I'm kind of nuts, and I need personal space, and I will roundhouse kick you if you do not meet my requirements. What do you want? I saw you wrote on Twitter. Fantastic. What's Twitter? I don't even have to be like there for something to come up, but we should probably touch upon, you know, things other than hating the people who listen to this show. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I love the people that listen to the show. In fact, Twitter has 258 followers right now, so I'm in love with those people.
The number of people that will be lined up around the block outside Jason's apartment being like, where are those two scrawny bastards?
2,258 people waiting to kick Jason's ass.
Yeah.
Stop. You're giving the boy a complex, Catherine. I don't know how I feel about this. Jason, they're not real. Social networking is not real. They want to Twitter kick your ass, but if you ever met them in public, they just be like, yo, what's up? You like wrestling? Me too. You like Dean Ambrose? Dean Ambrose is shit. It's not gonna do anything.
You again.
Oh, so you're the one. Or, they'll show up with, like, their little T-shirt of whatever wrestling organization or podcast they have, and they'll forget the whole thing.
Yep. Look like somebody that should be in one of the Matrix films or something. And
I fear that we're becoming what we hate, Jason. No. I'm embracing it. Anyways, what happened in WWE this week? Steph and Vince McMahon were trying to save the ratings because they knew that show was gonna tank, and it did.
That was the worst opening I have seen in a very long time. I was talking it over with my friend, and she kind of reminded, the McMahons have never been good people in wrestling. They've always been heels. So for, like, a Stephanie McMahon to come out and be like, he is the father of my children.
No, here's my thing.
I don't know what they were trying to, like, get as a response, but I don't think it was the way I reacted to it.
Well, here was the problem I had with it, was that kind of like what they did with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's going to come in, he's going to F5 John Cena, and he's going to totally just fucking kill everyone in that locker room. And he keeps losing. Or he'll win one, and then he'll lose 12, and then he'll win one, and it's like he smashes up Triple H's office. It's like, oh, wow, they put you over the office. That's improvement, my friend. But when they come out and the guy that's getting over on the guys that in real life could probably kick the crap out of him, when they start coming out and making him look weak, I can't take another Triple H match seriously if he's up against someone like a Brock Lesnar. Because, again, it's like you're literally taking his man card away. Like you're making him vulnerable. Triple H, the wrestlers themselves aren't supposed to be like emotionally vulnerable. Like, you don't come out and be like, oh, he's the father of my children. Really? Like, he's supposed to wrestle, I think it's this Monday, he's supposed to wrestle
Curtis Angle.
Curtis Angle.
Curtis Angle. Thanks, Michael Cole. Yes, Curtis Angle. Curtis Angle is going to wrestle Triple H. Now, is he going to actually fucking win this time? Or is, like, Triple H going to be in the middle match and Steph comes out and just shakes her head at him and he just kind of lets him go and then walks out with, you know what I mean? Like,
he's going to hit him with the count out.
Yeah,
I mean, Axel got a win on SmackDown. He pinned Jericho.
Yes, after CM Punk's music played. Oh no, is Punk here?
So it wasn't a clean win, but it was still at least a pin. It wasn't a count out. So that's at least something going for.
I don't know. Is that his gimmick? Like, let me just beat people, but not credibly.
I hope not. I mean, they tend to do that a lot with heels when they're trying to get everybody to hate them. Like,
just give them
like when the Miz was when they were trying to get the Miz like a lot of heat, they were like doing his have Alex Riley beat up people on the outside. He never really won cleanly. That seems to be
what actually got Miz?
I don't think it's working for him.
You know what gave the Miz a lot of heat? The Miz being in WWE, because he's terrible and he has no personality and he can't wrestle. That's what got Miz a lot of heat. I have a feeling you're saying that to the wrong guy. Don't you want to be saying that to Miz? He seems like a little bit of a biter. Maybe
I'd be okay with that.
Ask his boyfriend.
Oh, Alex Riley was totally Little Spoon. And now with that train of thought, I'm gone now. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, I'm totally. We were talking about Triple H. I mean, about really awkward opening. I think, if they did such an awkward opening and they wanted to do some sort of like tension between them, to have Triple H come out and wrestle, he was there to like kind of have it like have him give it to Stephanie and be like, I'm gonna do it anyways. Maybe they could have gotten away with it. But the fact that he then had that whole awkward like, I don't want our children to watch me beat up their grandpa on television, like whole segment later, just made it even worse. Because then it was just like, he was leaving the arena.
I totally just had that like Silver Linings Playbook moment where he's like 70 something. I'm not gonna kick his ass because that's a bad thing. Like, dude, whatever. I'm over it. I'm more interested in who the secret admirer is going to be on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, they're gonna reveal. Aren't you excited? Who do you think it is?
It's gonna be like fucking Hornswoggle or like Santino.
It always is.
Or Shark Boy, or like
Kali,
the Brooklyn Brawler, the janitor.
I was talking to my friend about it, and I think it would be amazing if it was Big E. Because they're trying to get Big E away from Ziggler and AJ anyways. What better way than to, like, have him go with AJ's old best friend, Caitlyn. And, like, they already have great chemistry on Twitter. Because they, like, interact a lot. And I think Big E is hilarious. And if they let him go on his own as a face, I think he would do incredibly well.
You know what's awful? That this just happened. Catherine has been following wrestlers on Twitter. And apparently this is where they're continuing storylines. They have excellent chemistry on Twitter. You have to read it.
No, I'm just saying, like, they're really funny. Like, the way that they interact. And, like, if they were able to bring some of that to the show, then I think it would go over really well. And also because a lot of fans that do follow them on Twitter follow both of them and can see, like, the interaction between two of them. They do it all the time. They, like, bring it back and forth.
Now,
don't give me shit for Twitter. Just because you're a grumpy old man and don't know anything about technology doesn't mean the rest of us are.
Blah, pound sign, Eddie Angry. Now, this is what I gotta ask. Now, if this is the last pay-per-view before the show, unless I'm making that up, in which case, fuck off. What do you do to keep... Because honestly, as of now, I don't care about Payback. I don't even care that Punk's coming back for Payback because there's nothing to the Jericho-Punk match other than Jericho being like, hey, Punk, wrestle me. Okay. Like, what? Like, is that simple? Like, you just go to the back room and be like, hey, you. Yeah? Fuck you. Wrestle me. Okay. Like, that's just how it feels. Like, it just kind of feels like Jericho's just like, fuck, I'm getting tired of Fandango. Where's Punk? Is Punk around? Punk, can I wrestle you?
He's good.
It's kind of like in high school or, like, middle school when you go to gym class and you just find that kid that you're just like, well, he doesn't look like he'd piss me off. Hey, you want to be best friends? Awesome. Hang out all the time. Like, that's kind of how this match happened. Jericho's just like, fuck. I don't know. It kind of
just feels like the WWE was like, hey, you know, we're going to be in Chicago. Don't we have a wrestler from Chicago? Dude, we should totally put him in a match. And then they're like, oh, Chris Jericho, you're not really on tour right now. Go for it.
You know what would be awesome, too?
We've done that feud, like, 3 times recently.
Jericho comes out. He's ready to wrestle. They play Punk's music. Punk doesn't show up then. They just cut to Punk just at, like, the NHL Finals. Watching Chicago.
In Boston at the Bruins game.
Oh, shit. I was supposed to go. I didn't think you guys were serious. Like, I was supposed to show up? Fuck. Like, oh, hockey.
Nice.
I don't know. I don't... Right now, the pay-per-view to me is just, like, it's a throwaway pay-per-view. Like, they're just kind of like, fuck it. Like, we don't...
Is this pay-per-view worse than the last pay-per-view?
That's a funny question to ask when the pay-per-view hasn't happened yet. And I can already have an answer. Pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, and...
Yeah.
I love how...
I mean, what are the matches? I don't even know what all the matches are.
I think there's a three-way for the Intercontinental title with Miz. Yeah, a three-way. With Miz, who loves three-ways. Barrett, and then Fandango. And then the 3 stages of hell. Then, I don't know. This is the Punk and Jericho, and that's really all I
mean, I'm guessing there's going to be Damien Sandow and Sheamus. Because they've been doing their little feud that they've been building on SmackDown, which has been hilarious, by the way, for anyone who's been watching SmackDown. I know these two schmucks don't. But,
by the way, that one person that Catherine's talking to, you are one person. You literally make up a tag team with Catherine because you were the only 2 people that pay attention to SmackDown. Why is SmackDown still on Friday nights?
I like SmackDown. It is funny. To me, like, Raw's like the serious show. And then SmackDown is like the funny show where they get away
nothing ever happens.
Other things. I mean, like, Damien, if you haven't been watching, Damien Sandow has been challenging Sheamus to, like, these intellectual puzzles or whatever, and then he cheats every week to make Sheamus look stupid. So this week, he challenged Sheamus, where he was trying to do some sort of chess thing, and Sheamus was like, I can beat chess in 1 move. So he kicked a supercomputer that was supposed to play chess, and, like Sandow just freaked out. And it pretty much was like a nerd crying over their broken science project. And it was hilarious, but it's like actually giving Damien Sandow something to do, and that makes me happy.
It just occurred to us that we could never be endorsers for Be a Star. Because Catherine's picking on, science geeks, and I hate wrestling fans, and Jason just hates the internet. Like, Jason just, it's like, the internet didn't do anything to you. You just, like, stood
the... He doesn't hate the internet, he hates...
I hate talentless hacks who copy your shit. That's all.
Jason's gonna fight the internet, like the entire
Will.
internet.
We're gonna fight all the fans.
WrestleMania
Podcast.
30, Jason
We're gonna-
Smith versus the internet.
No, it's gonna be Jason versus the internet at the playground by the swing set during lunchtime. Bring the juice boxes.
In the Punjabi prison that Eddie erects, especially for this match.
Run in by Piranha Man.
I'll just like Punjabi, like upon Punjabi. Like I'm just gonna like make a stack of Punjabi prisons just because I fucking can. When I say Punjabi prison, I'm literally just gonna like with fishing line, just tying together twigs and like.
3 stages of Punjabi.
Oh my god, dude! Do you realize how fucking fast I'd buy this pay-per-view if that was a thing?
I still say that the assembling the Shrine of the Silver Monkey match was the best one you've ever come up with.
Because, oh my god, if there's one thing I hate more than wrestling fans, it's anyone that's ever competed on that show. Are you fucking kidding me? I could be like, seriously, an entire bottle of bourbon in and still figure out it's 3 fucking pieces. How can you not get it right? It's 3 pieces.
When they're like in 8th grade and he's like yelling at him.
I don't, dude. That's how I will know which kids to keep and which kids to bring on the outskirts of town to leave to die. Okay, here's a silver monkey. Assemble it. You have 20 seconds. If you were too fucking dumb to assemble a silver monkey, Darwinism does not accept you. You're done.
But you don't understand the kind of pressure they were under. If they couldn't assemble that silver monkey, they might not have gone to space camp or gotten that N64.
You know what I think would be a real motivator for anyone in wrestling right now?
National Selection?
Space Camp. If we put together the greatest Raw we've ever conceived since like 1997, everybody gets to go to Space Camp. Like, I think that like Mark Summers should just be waiting in like the backstage area with like the creative team and be like, hey, if you make this match suck less, you get this. Da-da-da-da. And then it's like an outdated boombox or like a Huffy or just like a tape recorder. Wow, Mark Summers, thanks. You give me things for not being mediocre. Like,
We should just make them compete on like all the old style shows. Make them do a Legends of the Hidden Temple Raw, and then make them do the Nick Gas, where they had like the giant mountain covered in glitter that they had to climb.
Okay, you just call it Nick Gas. That's a network.
Whatever.
The show was Guts.
My bad. I was so close.
And if you do this again, I'm going to abandon you like the rest of my unborn children who can't assemble the silver monkey.
Figure it out already.
God.
Sorry, you know what? I drove to Long Island and back this week. I'm a little tired.
Okay, so Catherine has a story. Now, why didn't we lead with this? Because, I mean,
Yeah.
I live a very exciting life, okay? I work, and then I come home, and then I talk about feelings on Facebook, and then I go to concerts, and I have female friends come over, and they don't want to sleep with me. They want to assemble my Ghostbusters board game, and then lecture me when they're assembling it that I'm doing everything wrong. And then I have brain farts, and Catherine meets celebrities. Catherine, who did you meet this weekend?
So I drove down to Long Island to go meet Mick Foley. My friend Alex that I had written the article about, actually, right before the first time I was on your podcast. She and I went to a comedy club to see Mick Foley do his stand-up. And then we got to meet him. We actually met him before, and then we met him after as well. And we got to say hi and meet him. He signed a copy of my article for me, which is pretty fantastic. We took pictures with him. And we met Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus, like the actual ones that were at the Hall of Fame with him. And also Tommy Dreamer was there, which was excellent. As well as Dee Snider's son, who was one of the opening acts. And the guitarist of Twisted Sister was there as well. But we didn't get to meet them. That was sad.
Now, essentially what Catherine's... Now, Catherine hasn't been a wrestling fan forever. I've been a wrestling fan since I was a small child, despite the fact that I don't want to admit it. I also have been working on a prototype for the flux capacitor to travel back to 1984. Not only does Catherine get to meet my wrestling idols, she literally got to get into the DeLorean with an already assembled flux capacitor and travel back to 1984. You met the guitars from... These are things you omitted from the original story.
I didn't meet the guitar. He was there. And I mean, he walked past me, and Mick Foley was like, shh, don't tell anyone he's here, because we were there really early and we saw them.
Now, if you tell me that Steve Perry randomly just got on stage and just sang Who's Crying Now, I may have to find a female who's bigger than you to punch you in the face for me.
And Eddie, first of all, there are no females bigger than me. I'm 6'1". And second of all, if he was there, I probably wouldn't be here right now because I would probably be dead because I probably would have passed out and died.
That's a thing? Like, you just pass out and die?
You are here, me.
Why? I'm not getting into this. This is very confusing. This show has been railroaded again by my love of Journey, Jason's quiet indifference, and Catherine's ability to have a cooler life than both of us.
Hey, do you know what? I worked hard to get that ability to do that.
I'm not going there with you. I'm not even going to go there. I got Mick Foley lost. You know what I have to show for it? Nothing. I got the man lost. No phone calls, no handshakes, no hugs, nothing. And Catherine left. She was
mad.
She was so upset that she had to sign off. And this is where we're at with the show tonight, Jason. This is why we need bullet points, my friend. Bullet points.
We can go to Twitter if you want.
Yeah,
See
please
we
go
got some
to Twitter.
questions.
Yeah, I love answering questions on Twitter that I didn't know we have. Continue.
All right, guy named Nature Boy. Will you be disappointed if Punk's not on Raw this week?
I'm not expecting Punk until the pay-per-view because honestly, buy rates.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of bringing Punk back this quickly. I'm sure he is so content going to like Cubs games and going to the Stanley Cup Finals. Like, I know Punk loves wrestling, and I know he loves the fans that aren't loud and obnoxious and entitled. But I also know he loves fucking Chicago, and that guy's probably in the prime of his like fucking happiness right now. But buy rates. If Punk does not show up at the pay-per-view, nobody's gonna fucking watch it because nobody's gonna fucking care. So, do I expect Punk on Raw? No. What I'm expecting is another really, really tedious Raw where they just keep beating dead horses. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Are you expecting Punk at Raw? Because that's
No,
definitely.
Is there a reason to expect him? I didn't get that this week, like unless something was said on SmackDown.
I think the tease with the Titantron, like, oh, Punk's here, and now Catherine's back. Catherine, you've missed a very important portion of this show. I can't work under these conditions.
Apparently my internet was so jealous of my life that it decided to disconnect me.
Now, what did Mick Foley say when you asked him to be on our podcast?
I didn't ask him to be on our podcast.
What?
You know what's phenomenal, Catherine? Is
What?
that you put in less effort than me, and I am an essential co-host on this show.
Yeah. No, here's the thing, though. It's not technically, I believe you reminded me last week, I'm not actually part of this podcast. I am a special guest that happens to be on almost all of the episodes of the podcast, except for, like, 2.
Wait, who said that? I don't remember this. Was I drinking?
Last week, when I was like, our podcast, you're like, oh, it's our podcast? So, therefore, I feel no obligation to try to get you awesome guests on your podcast.
You know what? You're a viable asset to this company. I see a raise in your future, and by that I mean just acknowledgement because I have no money.
Welcome to the world of entertainment.
Yes, welcome to the world of entertainment. You have been promoted from intern to person who talks with us.
Nice. When do I get to make co-host? Are there like levels, or do I like get there eventually?
One of us has to leave, and then
No.
you'll be led on to a position.
No, here
You won't actually get it.
this isn't real radio, Jason. How dare you?
Well, let's stop talking about our personal lives.
No, here's what I'm gonna do, Catherine. If you want to be on the show officially, I'm gonna set up a silver monkey.
Can I
On top of the aggro crag.
I really want to do the Silver Monkey Challenge.
But here's the thing: while you're assembling the silver monkey, I'm going to be just doused from head to toe in baby oil, doing exotic dances, in a Shark Boy mask.
What about Piranha Man? Are you abandoning Piranha Man?
Oh no, that's
so early in the creative process?
no. This is like the Abyss angle where Piranha Man's really me, but Shark Boy's really my brother.
And then when you taste blood, you turn into Piranha Man.
Exactly. Or I turn into my third alter ego, which is I dress up as a giant inflatable great white shark.
Nice.
But yes, Catherine is a co-host because she has access to things that I don't even know how to log into Twitter. So, but I know how to offend
get you
people.
some sort of independent wrestling person to be on your podcast.
I think that Catherine should be our
We did have somebody that offered something. It was like Alex Wright's I don't know, a kid at one of his schools, or allegedly at one of the schools. He was like, "Come on, let me on the podcast."
All right,
Yeah.
here's my answer to all of you. Do you really want to be on this podcast? Because we can make it happen. You're gonna have. I'm like the creepy drunk uncle, and Catherine is the like concerned mother, and Jason's the guy that we're not really sure if he's gonna try and stab somebody during the Thanksgiving dinner, or if he's even gonna show up to Thanksgiving. And I'll just sit there drinking, telling war stories about wars that I never fought in and was never alive to actually be in. Welcome aboard. You're on the podcast. No, what were we talking about?
I don't know.
Catherine, one of our Twitter followers, who we'll probably lose by the end of the show, before we lose Catherine. Catherine's gone now, so...
Damn it! All right, let's talk bad about her, because she won't go back and listen to
It's a moot point. I was going to ask her about Punk, but do we have any other Twitter questions?
Let me see. All right, at the Mark Masked Wrestler 1 wants to know, why is the Masked Wrestler the greatest? I believe this is a kid that, like, thinks he's a wrestler. I don't know. I don't want to bag on him, but we were trading Ready to Rumble lines last night to each other.
Jason is bonding with our younger listeners by talking about movies that nobody else saw. This is how you win over Jason's heart. Can I ask you, did your fiance quote Ready to Rumble with you? Did she quote some really obscure, like, crappy 90s movie and you were just like, I'm in love? Because that sounds like something I would do. Like, if a girl came up to me, like, spouting quotes from, like, RoboCop or Toxic Avenger, instant wedding ring. I'm sorry, instant engagement. It's done. I'm sold. I don't even care if she's a dude. There's a marriage in our future. I'm going to try and...
Fellas, pay attention. Eddie's giving you hints.
I'll take anything living at this point. If you have a pulse, I'll take you. Mass wrestling fan, are you the greatest? You have not stepped in the ring with Piranha Man, nor have you assembled the Silver Monkey. Until you do one of these two things, no, you are not the greatest. Or unless you can find Mark Summers and have him be a co-host on this show, I'm going to throw it in I'm going to say TBD. It is to be decided, my friend.
Okay.
My young friend.
Fair enough.
Any other?
Yeah, we got some more. At EC_FN_W30. Wow, that's a mouthful. If indeed WWE is pushing Bryan to wrestle Cena this summer, does that mean he's being pushed or buried?
Now, Catherine has come back. Catherine, that's an excellent question for you. Other than, would you expect, one of the first questions we got was, would you expect Punk on this Raw, on this Monday's Raw?
No.
Yeah, so that's pretty unanimous. I don't, even with the tease with Jericho costing him the match, I don't see that as a possibility.
Nope.
Why give something away on Raw for free when you get people to pay to see it?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, we're not going to see him until the actual pay-per-view.
Not to be mistaken with the Mel Gibson movie. Hopefully it does a little better than that did. Now, Punk being pushed, because I've been reading about this. I'm excited by it because I would love to see Bryan back in the main event scene. But if he wrestles Cena, is that a push or is that a burial?
For who?
Yeah, if Daniel Bryan wrestles Cena, this summer, if say they have like a big SummerSlam match, is that gonna bury him or is that gonna push him?
Are they pushing him to wrestle Cena?
That's the rumor. Like,
Really?
that he's supposed to get the Money in the Bank title match against Cena.
I don't know. But I feel like they've been giving him a big push lately. The fact that he's pretty much taken out the Shield multiple times now on his own.
Okay, but can we talk about
by their people? But to go against Cena, if that happens, like nobody can go up against Cena because they'll never let Cena lose, especially not to someone like Daniel Bryan.
I'll be honest with you. I think you're getting more of a push for Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton. I think that's the push.
Yeah.
Because obviously that Randy Orton RKOing Daniel Bryan is Randy Orton going heel. Because it doesn't matter how dumb Daniel Bryan's character is. He's such a likable fucking guy that even if you give him the worst fucking storyline possible, we all know what Daniel Bryan's capable of. Like, even casual fans who aren't smart marks know how talented he is. So he's always going to be the good guy, whether he's goat face and they're antagonizing him wearing it doesn't matter.
An abusive relationship with AJ, he's still a good guy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even then, like, I was like, well, shit, he's still Daniel Bryan. Like, I'm still a fan. Like, I don't know. I I don't know what I'm saying. That was probably a terrible answer to that question. Even if he's a shitty boyfriend, he beats the hell out of his girlfriend. Yeah, why not? What? I wasn't listening. What? Goat face? Awesome. He let a Make-A-Wish kid make him tap out to the crippler crossface. Fuck you. It's not the yes lock or the no lock. It's the crippler crossface. Go fuck yourself.
Dare you.
There was
How
an
dare you.
excellent question on Twitter. I think it was actually Mick Foley who asked it about because he was getting a bunch of like other comments about it, wondering if Daniel Bryan's whole gimmick or even the beard like takes away from the fact that he is such a great wrestler. In a lot of ways, like even for those of us that have watched a lot of his indie stuff and have seen how great he is, or people who can tell how good he is. Like, it's hard to take him seriously.
Okay,
It's
no,
like-
I will go yes and no with this one. I have to interrupt. I will go yes and no.
Yeah.
If he's not a character, he's Lance Storm. Lance Storm, phenomenal fucking wrestler. Like, I
Yeah.
was such a fucking mark for Lance Storm. But there was nothing there. Like, there was no character. There was no, like, he wasn't eccentric. There was no real charisma. Lance Storm was just a fucking great wrestler. And that's what I think Daniel Bryan was coming in. Great fucking wrestler, but he didn't really have a character. Like, there was nothing. The biggest problem in wrestling right now, we'll leave out TNA because they're actually trying. Sadly, TNA is trying harder than WWE. There's no fucking characters. It's just a bunch of people running around in tights and Speedos with different colors and different slogans. But there's no real characters. There's no real investment in the personality. With the beard and the gimmicks and the stupid goat face stuff, it at least creates something for Daniel Bryan to be like, not only am I a great wrestler, but I have, granted they're dumb gimmicks, but I have gimmicks. Like, if you actually think about it, really think about this now, and I'm going to shatter your whole fucking world and get shit on by a bunch of marks who love The Rock. The Rock had one of the dumbest fucking gimmicks in all of wrestling. The shittiest gimmick in all of wrestling.
Still does.
He was a Samoan Elvis. That's all he was. He was the Samoan Elvis. And he was so fucking good at being Samoan Elvis that it didn't it's like The Undertaker. The Undertaker's gimmick is so fucking dumb. It is the dumbest fucking gimmick you could possibly conceive of, but he's been so fucking good with that gimmick. He basically just took like, oh, I'm a walking cartoon. He was the opposite of Hogan. Undertaker actually brought excitement back to wrestling because he took this what could have been a potentially awful fucking career-ending gimmick, and he's made a legacy out of it. Now, I'm not saying that at the end of the day, like, Goatface is going to be a legacy. What I'm saying is that Bryan is a phenomenal wrestler that almost like Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper had a shitty gimmick too, but he was an awesome wrestler, and he just had charisma, and he was a great fucking, like, he was awesome on the mic. Like, there have been some really shitty characters, like Val Venus. One of my favorite goddamn wrestlers was Val Venus. Why? Because that was the dumbest fucking gimmick. The most tongue-in-cheek, dumbest fucking gimmick ever. And I loved every second of it because not only...
The porn star one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It was a gimmick that it was so bad, but he just owned it. And he was like, no, fuck it. I'm Val Venus. I'm the porn star. What of it? Like, it worked for him because he knew how to play it. He knew how to wrestle. I think with Daniel Bryan, I don't think it obscures the fact that he's a good wrestler as much as I think it makes people want to pay more. Like, dude, yes and no. That's what pushed Daniel Bryan. Yes and no. 2 words. Yes and no. That's all it took. Was Daniel Bryan to just say yes and no over and over obnoxiously, and he got over. Look at Fandango. That guy's not over. His theme song's over. Does not matter. As long as something about that character is over, all he has to do is put on good matches, and fuck it, he's got a career. Like,
And I will say, I mean, you could really see when he was Johnny Curtis that he's actually a fantastic wrestler as well. Clearly not the same caliber as Daniel Bryan because there's very few people that are, but it's the same thing. You know, he's going full out on his gimmick, and that like his devotion to it is kind of what I think attracts some people to. By the way, he was originally supposed to be a male stripper, so him and Val Venus uncommon.
well, look at fucking Mick Foley. Mick Foley, the Mankind gimmick was interesting, only because Mick Foley knew how to bring that character to life. I was terrified of Mankind when I was a kid. Same with Undertaker and Kane. He terrified me. The difference was Mick Foley is not the world's greatest wrestler. I have no problem insulting Mick Foley, and I don't think it should be an insult. He's not the greatest wrestler. But when Mick Foley was in a match, you wanted Mick Foley to win. Like, you cried when Mick Foley lost, especially when he was a babyface going after the title against Samoa and Elvis. Because you loved Mick Foley, because you knew he had conviction. Like, he was a great fucking character. He was fucking too. Fuck Dude Love. I thought that was the dumbest gimmick ever. Cactus Jack and Mankind, you actually loved those characters because he was so fucking devoted to them. And then it really didn't matter that Mick Foley did not look like a wrestler, and he didn't even at times, he wasn't the world's greatest technician, like but he just looked like he was having so much fucking fun, and just through and through. And me and you talked about this on Facebook. Like, Mick Foley is one of the few celebrities that I look at and like, no, he just seems like a really cool guy. Like, he just seems like he's a great fucking guy, like a good role model, a great positive influence, awesome father, great husband. You don't want to see a guy like that get his fucking ass kicked, and he got his ass kicked more than most, and he'd be the first to tell you that. But the audience or the crowd's hearts broke when Mick Foley's heart when he got the shit kicked out of him. But when he was on top, like when he won a match, it was fucking awesome because it was it was our guy.
Yeah.
In wrestling, it's not fucking rocket science. It comes down simply as make a guy just be a total fucking prick to the point where fans blur the reality between, like, you know, reality. It's just like they don't know what fiction is. Like, they have no idea this is fixed. Like, we already have our winner. And then just bring out the kind of personality. Like, Daniel Bryan seems like another one. He just seems like a really awesome fucking guy. Like, he'd just be a cool guy to hang out with. But he's also super fucking talented. I don't give a fuck. Like, the Wyatt family, when they come in, that's the dumbest fucking gimmick to date.
No.
And I think they're going to be fucking amazing when they show up. Why
is you can see such amazing things, and I agree with you 100%, and then you have to throw something horrible like that in at the end. Just to piss me off.
Because wrestling essentially comes down to two things. Really shitty gimmicks that shouldn't work, and phenomenal talents that make it work. Goldust, another one. Awful gimmick. Awful gimmick. Nobody could be Goldust but Dustin Runnels. Like, that's Goldust to me. It is such a crappy gimmick, but that guy has made that gimmick work for years. To the point where, like, you don't even care how stupid the character is. You're just like...
No one could be Bray Wyatt than the wrestler formerly known as Husky Harris.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, it's a shitty gimmick, but I know he'll make it work. I know they'll all make it work. Like, that's why I don't understand where wrestling's at right now. Like, I got to give a shit ton of credit to TNA. There were times during the pay-per-view where I was actually really invested in the Aces and Eights angle. As much as I fucking hate that gimmick, like, Bully Ray almost got his fucking ass kicked by, like, a handful of fans coming into the arena because he's such a colossal prick in TNA that people forget that, like, no, this is a dude making a living. He's playing a character. It's not a real fucking... Like, he didn't actually hit someone in the face with a hammer. He hit someone in the face with a hammer and didn't kill them the same way Triple H takes out people's sledgehammers. Like, you know, like, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's a dumb gimmick, but Bully Ray's... He's the fucking TNA champion. Like, whatever. Like, if the company's going to invest in a shitty character that much, clearly the actor... Not only the athlete, but the actor behind that character is making it work somehow. You know, and you could argue there are a lot of shitty movies out there. The only reason why most of us like shitty movies is because there was probably an actor or two in those movies that was just like, this movie sucks, and it's terrible, but it's terrible in all the best ways because this one person is making it work. So, that's my rant for the evening.
I gotcha.
I don't remember any fantastic actors being in Piranhaconda, but I still like that shitty movie.
I still don't know why. That's a different subject. This is a wrestling podcast, not a SYFY podcast.
Hey, you're Piranha Man. One would think you would know a Piranhaconda.
It's gimmick infringement is what it is, and I plan to sue.
I'm glad you took it that way, because I thought for a moment you were going to take it into the gutter, because that's where my brain went.
I'm not exploring that. This is not Loveline, Catherine. I don't want to talk about your fetishism with piranhas and bathtubs with mud sharks, Led Zeppelin style. I want to talk wrestling, which is what I haven't been doing for the first hour of this show. It's basically just like, we're recording. I'm going to spew hatred at you. No, I'm disappointed right now with the card for Payback, but there's always room for something to happen. I mean, if Daniel Bryan gets a push, if John Morrison magically gets re-signed, if something has to happen, we're in the lull of wrestling. Like, this is the worst time to be a wrestling fan because this is when nothing happens.
But we're getting to the point where summer can be fun, like that Money in the Bank between SummerSlam time, where it can pick up, and it has picked up in years past.
True.
The
On
time,
the flip side, Ziggler is returning Monday.
oh,
It's
I can't
it's been
fucking, I
cleared.
cannot, I cannot stress enough, unify the fucking titles already. I don't think we need two champions. I would love to see Cena and Ziggler go back and forth with the heavyweight title. I think that would be awesome. Like, I would think that'd be right up there with Rock and fucking Stone Cold.
But they just did that last year, like having the two of them feud. Because they did the whole Cena and Ziggler at, what was it, TLC? When they did the big ladder match for the briefcase again.
Yeah, but
That's the problem with so many of these things. Like, they just did them.
But there's the difference is you can make, and this is the thing about going to the past with wrestling. Do you realize that in '98, Rock and Triple H had a feud that lasted almost the entire fucking summer?
Yeah.
And then summer of '99, The Rock and Triple H had a fucking rivalry that Undertaker and Stone Cold had a rivalry that lasted almost the entire summer. A year later, they had a rivalry that lasted almost the entire fucking summer. That's how wrestling works. But if you have good fucking writers and you have talent that are adaptable, you don't fucking care. It works. It still works. It's not a very tricky formula, but they've convoluted it so much to the point where nothing works anymore. And that's like Punk Jericho. That's been recycled, but I'm mad about Punk Jericho, not because I've seen it before, but because why would you put those two together unless it was going to be the greatest fucking rivalry this summer? You know what I mean? Not something as simple as, there, I'm done with Fandango. Hey, CM Punk, you done jerking off on your couch? Awesome. Come to Payback.
Especially since the way that it is right now and the way Jericho is right now, he's still a face. So for CM Punk to come back and wrestle Jericho means Punk, unless something drastic happens between now and Payback, like, Punk is going to have to come back as a heel, but he's going to get a huge pop, and I'm going to be very confused. I just think that's one of my problems. I don't know who I'm supposed to be rooting for in half of these rivalries right now.
That's the biggest problem in wrestling, that so far TNA is the only company that's making that work.
Yeah.
Is you know exactly who to boo and you know exactly who to root. I'm not even a TNA viewer, and when I was at that pay-per-view, I know who I should have been rooting for and who I should have been cheering for. Instead, I had my arms folded, looking at cameras going, nope.
Even something as simple as, Damien Sandow and Sheamus. Seems cut and dry. Damien Sandow, Rhodes Scholars, he's a bad guy. Sheamus is the one who keeps coming out and bullying Damien Sandow. And yes, Damien Sandow's cheating or whatever. But it's like, well, which one am I supposed to hate, and which one's really being the bad guy? Because Sheamus is bullying, and be a star. We're not supposed to be bullying each other.
I'll be honest, I think the biggest problem right now in professional wrestling is that it's always been a great catalyst for community service. When that becomes part of the product, it ruins the product. Like, that's the thing. You have to understand, it's make-believe. It's fake. Like,
yeah.
The second you start bringing all that anti-bullying bullshit into the product, what the fuck are you supposed to do? It's like creating an entire Saturday morning promotion and saying, well, you can't do anything that involves the neck. All right, what the fuck are we supposed to do? Armbar, 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 hip toss, armbar. Like, yeah. Roundhouse kick. Oh, you hit him in the face, dude. That was too close to his neck. You're fired. Your future endeavored. You hit his neck. Why'd you do that? It's like the Ron Burgundy thing. You woke up the Bears. Why would you do that?
I think that's one of the things that's been annoying me with the WWE brand in general lately, is that things are infiltrating the wrestling too much. Whether it's their Be a Star campaigns, whether it's the stupid friggin' WWE app commercials, or all the product, there's just too much stuff going in, distracting from everything else.
There's more investment.
Is at the beginning, the stupid WWE app was great when it was just during the commercials, and it was a way to stay interested in whatever was going on when there was a commercial break. But now it's like, well, why do I want to watch an interview with Randy Orton while there's a match between like Sheamus and Heath Slater. Like, why should I care about this? And why are you now muting the wrestling to play that ad instead of showing me what I want to watch, which is the wrestling?
Well, no, here's an honest-to-God question. If you've made it this far in the podcast, why are we muting the wrestling? Because I'll be honest with you, the past probably 4 weeks in a row, I've been watching Raw on mute. Because I don't give a fuck. Like, I'll turn my head every now and again and be like, what do we got to talk about this week? Someone did a pile jar. Fantastic. Back to Facebook. Like, we're living in a culture now where you literally, I mean, I'm talking, and I'm going to get really serious here. I'm talking in terms of actual real relationships with people. I'm actually competing with friends in terms of, like, how do I get their attention away from Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, whatever. Like, I was at a concert last night with someone, and I had a phenomenal time. But there were a few times when we were both finding ourselves on our phones. Why? We were at a concert together. Like, we had a blast, but there was still that, like, 5 seconds in between where we were just like, I have to post this on Instagram. Like, this is really the make or break for everything. I'm talking in terms of films, wrestling, whatever. You now have to compete with the internet. You have to compete with everything. If I'm sitting on Facebook, now this is something I never did. And I had a computer when I was still a wrestling fan. But when wrestling was on. You only paid attention to wrestling.
Yeah.
When wrestling's on now, wrestling is now competing for some girl that's never going to sleep with me on OkCupid, some random I'm nuts Facebook post I'm posting, and then, 2 likes, and it's Jason and Catherine. You're competing with You're competing with the fact that a lot of us who are still faithful to the brand are in our 20s now. We're not 13 anymore. I work 2 jobs. Jason works full time. Catherine is a student, works, writes blogs, goes to New Jersey, hangs out with 80s guitarists, whatever. You have to make it exciting for us to want to. And I think it's cool, too, because now you have a tool where I could be on Facebook with Catherine and we could talk about wrestling, or me and Catherine can talk about how much we hate everything because wrestling is so boring.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I would rather be watching wrestling than doing any of that, but I love watching wrestling when wrestling's awesome, and Catherine's like, did you see that? Yeah, I saw that. Then Jason messages me, did you see that? Oh, it was fucking great. Like,
there's times that we're talking, and I'm like, oh my god, did you see that? And you're like, I stopped paying attention an hour ago.
Exactly, though. That's the thing. Like, Jason and I, and you and I have had great moments on Facebook where, like, Jason would be like, oh, what do you think's going to happen tonight? I was like, I don't know, dude. It's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's what you should be doing with social networking, is kind of using it as a tool, not flashing it around too much, but still being like, hey, we know you're on Facebook right now. Dude, here's something you and your friends can talk about. What do you think about this? Blah, blah, blah. And they think they're doing that, but it's overshadowing the product.
Right. Because, some of the things that they do, like I said, were interesting. During the commercial breaks, I love when they show the match during the commercial break, because I hate when they go to commercial break and you miss 5 minutes of, actual wrestling. So when they show that on the app, I actually use the app to watch that. And, like, every once in a while, like, they do, like, the polls, like, who's, like, so-and-so face. And I always vote just so I can see how rigged it is. But, like, all the other stuff, like you said, it's just getting in the way. They think they're promoting something. Instead, they're detracting from everything else.
If they spent as much time actually writing the show as they did promoting, like, tout and all that shit, like, I could joke about our show because Jason spends a lot of time. Like, he's really good promoting and letting everybody know where to find us, where to talk to us, whatever.
Hence so many Twitter followers.
Yeah, but we actually, like, this is us actually talking right now. Now, you may listen to this and be like, wow, this is a really shit show. Like, what the fuck are they talking about? I'm happy with it because this is our involvement. Like, we actually care. Like, if we fail, at least I can be like, fuck that. People think that show sucked. Fuck it, dude. We were really honest. We had a lot. We were just talking. We were having fun with it. I feel like if you make it too rigid, like, that's the problem with wrestling, is they're taking it too seriously. Like, it's like, oh, okay, well, what do we do? This guy, that guy makes money. Like, stop. Have fun with it. Like, bring some of the fun back to wrestling. And a lot of that had to do with, like, people say, like, oh, the Attitude Era, you just like it because it was blood and cages and violence. No, the Attitude Era was just genuinely fun. Like, you did not know one day from the next what the fuck was going to happen. There was unpredictability. Even dirt sheets did exist during the Attitude Era. People seem to forget this. They're like, oh, the dirt sheets ruined wrestling. No, the dirt sheets existed during the Attitude Era. The difference was you were so fucking excited for each week to happen. You made a conscious effort not to go on dirt sheet sites because you actually wanted to be surprised. Now it's like, all right, I just came home from work, second job, I'm fucking tired. Is it even going to be worth watching tonight? WrestleZone, no, it's not. And you don't watch.
Yeah.
Like, make it exciting. It wasn't, I can't say because I don't work for TNA or WWE. I can't say like, oh, it's so easy to make it exciting because there are so many variables out there. Just be unpredictable. Don't make it so rigid to the point where it's like, I can already tell you, like TNA, I'm already angry that I can tell you how Bound for Glory is probably going to end. And it's going to end with either Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan being like a McMahon-Helmsley era, or it's going to end with Bully Ray dropping the fucking title to Hogan, and then Hogan, yes, I am TNA, blah, Brooke screwed you with the hammer. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do something
the other way
completely
that,
out there.
there's always trying to stay a step ahead of them. But the other way is, to really embrace it. If I read something on the dirt sheets, like, I'm going to have one of two reactions. I'm either going to go, ugh, that doesn't sound interesting. Or I'm going to go, I'm really looking forward to that. And, if I, like, things like reading Ziggler's going to come back. I'm excited for Ziggler to come back. I really missed having Dolph Ziggler. But some of the other stuff I read, like, if I read that something else is going to happen and I have no interest in it, then that doesn't make me want to watch their product.
Right. Jason, where do you fall into all this? Because you're being very quiet, sir.
I'm sorry.
You read a lot of dirt sheets.
Yeah, I do read. I read them too much. I don't know. It's a different time. Like, I think there's 3 hours in a week that you shouldn't be promoting the Raw app or the WWE app. Let the show stand for itself. If you want to show me backstage stuff after the show, great. If you want to show me stuff that happened that I didn't see throughout the week, fine. I don't know, but the app takes away from the show. I don't care. I'm not gonna. I'm lazy. I don't want to go get something else. Put it in front of me. If it's not in front of me, I'm not gonna go get it.
Yeah.
To put it simply, popular television shows don't have apps that you need to follow in addition to the show. The show is, 8 to 9 o'clock. This is where you'll be. This is where we'll be. Meet us there. It's very simple. It's the WWE's making it as convoluted as human relationships are becoming in this era. It is no longer call you on the phone, hey, I'm going here at this time, meet me there. Okay, awesome. I want to invest time in you, so I'm going to go there. It says, I don't know. I might be here. I might not. Read my Facebook. Read my tweet. You'll find me. MapQuest it. Fucking Instagram it. Check in. Whatever. No, just keep it very fucking simple. I have been a loyal fan since I was a kid. 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. USA Monday Night Raw. It's as simple as it needs to be. There is such a thing as the Wizard of Oz syndrome. If I pull the curtain back, there's a lot I don't want to see behind the curtain because, I make fun of the marks, but, you have the mark, oh, it's still real to me, damn it. It's an escape. It's escapism. Like, stop giving me more than I deserve. Like, keep some of the fucking magic in the bottle. Like, keep some of it hidden from us. When you give us so much of, like, what are the fucking new WWE shows, like, the behind-the-curtain shit they do, like, in the locker rooms, and blah, it's enough. Like, you're giving us way too much. Like, now you're just making, all the stuff that they put on the internet and in those apps, they could be putting in the actual show.
Yeah.
Like, the night that Kane came out and tried to choke slam CM Punk off the stage, that wasn't on Raw, that was on the app. Why? Who made that decision? Because whoever made that decision should be fucking fired. Because I didn't see that on TV. I read about it, and then I saw it on WWE.com. That would have been more useful on the fucking show than it would have been on my fucking smartphone.
Especially since, I know we've mentioned it before, but, Raw is 3 hours. There's a lot of time to fill that I feel like a lot of time gets filled with video packages that end up getting more annoying than they are interesting.
Well, take for example, Jason and I, when we watch Extreme Rules, they showed a fucking third video package for Ryback and Cena To the point
Yeah.
where Jason looked at me at like 9:30. He was like, "Are they going on now?" Like, dude, you don't
Yeah.
realize like that was the it moment when I realized, dude, you're confusing your fans right now. Like, I'm sitting here with Jason, and even I'm kind of like, oh shit, are they going on right now? Like, what the hell's the main event gonna be? Like, we still have a Divas match to go piss during. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
That was Mania, where it was like,
Yep.
how many? I'm sitting there in an arena going, I'm watching video packages that I could have been watching at my home.
Yep. I mean, I went to SmackDown, which is, it's not a live show, so there's not, preparing for commercial breaks and all that stuff. And it was right after WrestleMania, and they were showing WrestleMania package after WrestleMania package after WrestleMania pack. It was like, I'm at SmackDown. If I'm at SmackDown, that means I've already watched Raw, and I've already watched WrestleMania, because I'm not going to watch SmackDown and not watch Raw. So you don't need to show me what just happened less than 24 hours ago. I know that. That's one of my big problems with SmackDown in general, is that it's all like repackaging of Raw. And it's like, well, I'm not going to watch SmackDown and not watch Raw. People don't do that. People watch Raw and not SmackDown. So why the need for all the video packages that could be filled with this content that they're putting on the app, which is sometimes more interesting than what's on the show, and it's a hell of a lot more interesting than watching Brock Lesnar break into Triple H's office for the 63rd time.
now here's where I'm gonna go back to Slammiversary. Pay attention to your fucking fans. I cannot tell you how ecstatic I got seeing hot girls walking around with "I'm a Paul Heyman girl" shirts on. The number of I'm a Paul Heyman guy shirts that were at a TNA pay-per-view, the number of Dolph Ziggler shirts that were at a pay-per-view, the number of Punk shirts. Why are you not listening to your fans? I did not see one goddamn scene. That's a lie. I saw maybe one or two. I saw one or two Cena shirts at this pay-per-view. One or two. I saw more I'm a Paul Heyman guy or girl, and more Ziggler and more Daniel Bryan. Dude, we were on the train with like a fucking dozen Daniel Bryan fans.
One who looked like him.
Yeah, one that was a fat Daniel Bryan. We had fat fucking Kane and black Randy Savage, and we have fat Daniel Bryan. Like, why? Stop ignoring us. Like, that's the thing. Like, WWE will never crumble. It won't. It's a Fortune 500 company. Wrestlers are easily replaced. Gimmicks are cheap, and we're like the dying breed of fans. Like, if you listen to this, like, if you actually, we're like an hour 17 into it. If you actually sat through all the stupid bullshit of me saying nonsense, and Catherine not knowing how to work a computer, and Jason just being like, I don't know where I'm at right now.
It's not my fault. That's the internet.
It's because you're an actual fan, and you're as pissed off as we are, that you're like, that's. I kept telling Jason, when I was at TNA, and this was like my aha moment. The reason I kind of hate being a wrestling fan is because there's such a stigmatism to it. Like anything else, there are normal, well-adjusted, good, knowledgeable fans, and there's everybody else. You want to be one of those fans that's like, I genuinely love the product, and I shower, and it's not my fault that I can't get laid. And then you look at everybody else, and you're just like, you're doing it to yourself. But it's just one of those things where it's like, wrestling, there was no stigmatism to wrestling about a decade ago. Everybody was on the same boat.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if you were a girl, a guy, ugly, beautiful, whatever. Like, everybody was in the same boat. And now there's this division again of wrestling fans are creepy, suffer from Arrested Development, live in the parents' basement. And what a time. We all live in our parents' basements, with the exception of Jason. And he's engaged. Fuck you. Some of us will live on OkCupid forever. But we were all unified. Like, we all had a common interest, and we were all more than happy to talk about our common interest. Now, wrestling's a taboo. Why? Because the product sucks. The fans went back to being like NASCAR fans. Like, I'm not saying it has to be mainstream to be good. I'm just saying, like, there are some of us that know our intelligence is being insulted, and some of us that just don't fucking care. We'll just keep buying the collector's cups, and we'll keep wearing the t-shirts because we want to identify that's all we have is we're fans. For certain people, like, yeah, we're fans, but we have other shit we're fans of. Like, if you're not going to deliver, fuck you. I'm a fan of Passion Pit. I'm a fan of horror movies. Like, there's other shit I'm a fan of. And there's a lot of shit going through the cycles. Like, horror movies all fucking suck now. All right, I like indie movies now. Or rock and roll is all blah, blah, butt rock, Creed. Blah. Like, I'm not going to listen to fucking rock music anymore. I'm going to listen to fucking rap music. Like,
I think part of the problem, though, is, you know, it is so big and they have such a large fan base that, you know, if you and Jason and I decide we're not interested in watching wrestling anymore.
Care. They don't care.
It annoys us too much and we stop watching. That doesn't have an effect on them. It's like, and for a reference, I know at least Eddie won't get. It's like the recent issues in other sports, like the football lockout, the hockey lockout, the basketball lockout, where, you know, whole chunks of their season went missing because they thought it was more important to argue over how many millions of dollars they made than to put a product out for fans.
Hey. All right? I was very hurt by the NHL lockout. You know why? Because there are fans that are pink hats that won't give a fuck. And then there's the rest of us being like, why is there no fucking hockey on right now? Like, it cheapens. All right, for the record, the Bruins in the Stanley Cup Finals is fucking awesome. It is so fucking awesome. I love fucking hockey. What cheapens it is that we missed almost like half a season to people bickering over fucking salaries, and I'm not being paid enough. At the end of the day, I'm not making NHL money, so fuck you. Like, my life can go on.
But at the end of the day, we're still watching hockey. We're still watching the Stanley Cup. We're still going to games. They're still putting out a product. You know, yes, it was a shorter season than usual, but they're still putting out hockey now, and people are still going to it, and people are always going to. And it's the same thing with wrestling. WWE is so big right now that even if they pissed off the entire fan base and said, you know, no Raw for 6 months, in 6 months we'd be going, oh, thank God, Raw's back, and we'd start watching it again. And yeah, they would lose some people, but there's enough people and it's big enough that they can get away with it. So they're not going to listen to the little people.
Well, no, this is a dangerous thing, because I'll be honest with you, if they don't get their shit together, I don't care. Like, there was a period, and Jason can tell you, there was a period where I just dropped out. I was like, this sucks. Like, the brands were awful. What turned me around back into wrestling again was when they were like, oh shit, like the brand thing, it's kind of not working. But there was a good period, and Jason will agree with me, I want to say like 2004 to maybe about 2006, it was awesome again. And it was like, and fuck WWE. Chris Benoit, that WrestleMania match, the triple threat, Michaels, Triple H, Benoit, I had such a hard on as a wrestling fan again. That was a 4-star fucking match. Yeah. It goes through lulls, man, like everything else, but it's just like, there are times where I'm tired of being loyal. Like, I'm really tired of being loyal to it. Because it's just like, dude, and Jason and I have had like almost depressing conversations about Punk's promo and then the summer of Punk, and just being like, dude, I haven't been. There was a good, like, again, 5 or 6 years where I didn't give a fuck about wrestling, but I still kind of like Fairweather followed it, and then Punk did that promo, and you just had like guys like Bryan and Ziggler and fucking Wade Barrett. It was just like, that was the summer of wrestling again, and it was summer. It was like the lull period, and it was fucking awesome. Like, I couldn't wait to talk to Jason about wrestling. So I was like, dude, did you watch Raw last night? I actually watched SmackDown. Like, we need to get back to that point, because we were on such a good road of progress. And like, I remember even Punk tweeted that photo. It was Natalya as the Divas champ, Cody Rhodes with the Intercontinental belt. It was
Ryder with the U.S.
Yeah, Ryder with the U.S., Punk, Daniel Bryan, and then it was Evan Bourne and fucking Kofi. And it was a simple tagline, said, you know, if you're not with us, you'll get left behind.
Yeah, something about the future or something.
And it was like, dude, yes. So
like, they get it now.
Yeah. And then they fucking lost it. And it was like, all right, where the fuck did it go?
Yeah.
I'll be right up there with with Punk, actually. I think this company would be better off if Vince McMahon was dead. If you want my honest opinion, I think it'd be better off, because I think Triple H knows what he's doing. I think Steph knows what she's doing. Vince has no fucking idea anymore. He has no fucking clue. Dixie Carter is a fucking moron. Hulk has no idea what he's doing. You know who knew what he was doing? Jason, if you want to vouch for this, because I was
I'm sorry, I didn't
heartbroken.
hear
You know who knows what he's doing in TNA or knew what? Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett
Yeah.
knew exactly what he was doing. And I was bullshit. Jason, I was bullshit when Kurt Angle got the Hall of Fame induction, not Jeff Jarrett. Like, I'm one of the few bleeding heart Jeff Jarrett fans. Like, I think that guy was a phenomenal fucking athlete, a great wrestler, a great character, and a great businessman. As soon as Hogan came to TNA, fuck TNA. It was stupid. It was so fucking stupid. And that's the thing, like, you gotta trust the people that, like, you knew Triple H had his fingerprints all over the summer of Punk. Like, even Cena, I remember reading reports that Cena was pushing and, like, begging Vince, like, give Punk a title shot. Give him an opportunity. You will not be disappointed. And it's like Shawn Michaels telling fucking Vince, and I know that was probably staged and whatever, but when Bret Hart came back to WWE, that was amazing because it was like finally, and they made him a GM, and then he wasn't a GM, and it was like, all right, what the fuck's going on? What the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
So I don't know. There are times that I get tired of being loyal because I'm not, I mark out, but I'm not really a mark. Like, I don't want to be a mark. To me, a mark is it's a derogatory term to people like us, but it's also kind of like I don't know, it makes you a leper because if you're a mark, you'll stay loyal despite how shitty it is. I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I want to be, it's like the fucking Attitude Era DVD. That DVD sucked.
Yeah, that blew.
Yeah, I spent $20 on it. That was fucking bullshit.
I bought the Blu-ray, and I was pissed I bought the Blu-ray.
Dude, like, that was such an insult to fans that literally, like, they blew the NBA during the NBA Finals, and I think it was 99, out of the fucking water with their ratings. And this is fake, fixed pro wrestling. And they blew the NBA out of the water. And all you have to show for it is this bullshit collection that some asshole intern who's never watched wrestling was probably like, oh yeah, that match was kind of cool.
Yeah, 65 minutes or something, or
yeah,
it
like
was so short too. It was like, all right, who do we got? We got Road Dogg, Triple H. That's about it. Like,
yeah, I'm not a fucking. I don't want to be a mark. It's not that I'm not. I don't want to be because, as Catherine pointed out, we'll stay loyal because it is what. Fuck that. That's I deplore every wrestling fan to just say that. Fuck that. If this product sucks, and we're telling them, and we're wearing, literally TNA was littered with people wearing I'm a Paul. Okay, we're all Paul Heyman guys and girls, so why is Paul Heyman still getting bullied backstage?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Jason fucking marked out overseeing the Atlas security team who, like...
I thought that was awesome.
I'm sitting there and I'm laughing my ass off because that was a mark out moment. That was one of the moments you weren't ashamed of. Because I remember, like, looking at those guys being like, why they look so familiar? And Jason nudges me. He's like, do you know who the fuck those guys are, dude? Like, that's Atlas Security. That's awesome because that's real devotion. You know what I mean? Like, it's not bullshit 12-year-olds being like, were you there for DX? Listen, you little fuck. I was there when X-Pac, the Outlaws, China, and Triple H for DX. Go fuck yourself. Like,
I did love when that kid was like, do you think Joseph Park is really Abyss? And I'm like, I will bet you $100 right now that is him. And I'm coming to collect it tonight. And he, like, shit his pants almost. He's like, what? Like, blew his fucking mind. But
yeah,
you have to tell him that Santa Claus didn't exist and wrestling was fake because you might make him cry.
It's all fixed. It's all fixed. Yeah.
If I was to say one thing, I think it's that wrestling fans now, a good majority of the young people, are just fucking lazy. Because when the audience wants something, Vince is forced to give it to him. When Matt Hardy got fired, or wrongfully fired for Edge screwing with Lita, the fucking audience demanded we want Hardy back. When it was Punk's turn and you had the whole pipe bomb incident, we want Punk. That's our guy right now.
Even Zack Ryder. I mean, Zack Ryder never would have gotten anything if it wasn't for the fans really pulling for him.
Exactly. There's just too many people that right now don't say, like, all right, we're sick of fucking this, or we're sick of Sheamus. Give us something else.
Never sick of Sheamus.
You see, now this is why you have to listen to Marks on Commentary. Because after Eddie's done with his bullshit, You actually get to real conversation. Granted, it's kind of depressing and doom and gloom, but it's conversation. Like,
I think it's yeah, and it's an important conversation to have because, I mean,
well, here's the thing.
I think maybe we can't force them to change, but then I mean, Jason points out fans have forced them to change before in the past, and if we need change or we want change, we can do it again. You just have to demand it.
Well,
here's
the thing.
By
you have
not watching.
You have to demand it, but you have to stick to your guns. Like, you can't just say, okay, Punk won at Money in the Bank. We know he's coming back. We'll keep watching. I agree with Shane Douglas. They should have kept Punk off TV for 6 months.
Yep.
And then we all should have tuned out and said, oh, Punk's not there. Fuck WWE. When they saw their ratings, like, fucking toilet bowl, and been like, fuck, like, they're really serious. Like, the longer this guy's gone, the less they're watching. That would have created an actual fucking revolution in terms of, no, fuck you. Like, this may be your company, but we're the ones paying your electricity bill. Like, we're keeping you afloat. Don't fuck with us. Like, we're the... And, people like fucking... Oh, what's his face? Mark Madden. All right. Go fuck yourself, you fat piece of shit. Like, you're such a fucking asshole. Like, dude, no. Give the fans power. Don't give them too much. I agree there, but at least acknowledge that they do have power and not fake power.
And giving the fans power doesn't mean telling them to go vote on the WWE app. It's not the same thing. Telling us that we can vote for who Jack Swagger is going to face is not the same thing as actually giving the fans power.
Get rid of Raw Active. That's Taboo Tuesday, Cyber Sunday bullshit. It sucks.
That's another example. Is like, what was the incident with Jericho where it was who's gonna fight Punk one night, and everybody was like, oh, it's gonna be Randy Orton, it's gonna be Randy Orton, and it turned out to be fucking Jericho, and Jericho went into the writing room and told them all to fuck themselves.
Oh, yeah. That was the same thing with fucking Sin Cara and Evan Bourne. Do you remember that? Like, they had to go back and retrace their steps because they were like, oh, well, everybody voted for Sin Cara before he was Botch Cara. Because we were all interested, but dude, two fucking lightweights, let's do this. And I forgot who actually got the bid to come out that night. I think it was Rey Mysterio or some shit. And everybody was like, no, we call shenanigans. That was a fucking landslide. We all wanted Sin Cara. Fuck you. Like, that's bullshit.
And there was another time that it happened. They actually went back and said oh no, we made a mistake.
No, that was the Sin Cara botch. That was
because I thought there was another one that was a Divas one, and I could have sworn it was
Was it a stipulation match or something?
No,
I think
it was it was supposed to be who's got the chance for the Divas Championship, and they decided it was someone ahead of time, and the voting was totally off, and it was very clear that I think it was supposed to be Kelly, and then it was just some example of them just doing what they felt like instead of what the fans wanted, but then telling the fans that that's what they wanted, like they did with John Cena announcing the 3 Levels of Hell or whatever it is match. It's oh, what does everybody always want? Tables, and then everyone starts chanting tables. And it's oh, see, we're giving you what you want. We wanted tables? What?
It's kind of like what Hitler did. I'm going to tell you hate the Jews. You hate the Jews, right? Oh yeah, dude, we totally. You're not. No, they don't really believe that. You're telling them what to believe. You're a megalomaniac. You're a fucking dictator. Don't tell me what I like. Right. Actually ask me.
Right. But then everybody goes, oh man, he's so right. We do always chant for a tables match. And that's supposed to be okay with us. And I don't know.
It's borderline, be a star. No, you're bullying us into making the decisions that you want. And honestly, as a viewer, I'm tired of it. I don't mean to get all holy crap, dude, just made a Hitler analogy over wrestling. No, it's the same fucking concept. Yes, different fucking ballpark. Same concept. It's like being in a fucking relationship with a girl. It's this is how you feel. Okay. That's not a real fucking relationship. You're hanging in there.
Sorry, but you just used the Ryback.
I was going to say that too.
It's like being in a relationship with Ryback. It's like telling Ryback, you're a great wrestler. Okay.
Put the cookies back, Ryback.
I got cookies. That's fine. Do I have to? Oh, bother. I hate to say it, but that we all sound like Eeyore tonight. I'm tired of everything. I'm just, okay. No, I'm tired of being an exhausted, disappointed fan. I want shows to end on a cliffhanger, not on a Super Cena. Dude, you just supposedly got fucking speared into a set and electrocuted. Like, you should be dead. And you're
Right.
getting up being like, no, I'm Super Cena. Brr, 5 moves of doom. Like, fuck off. Like, I don't know. I think that's a good place to end the show because there's a lot of show to get through tonight. And I don't know how many people actually survive this show.
Probably not many.
And I always gauge it by how quiet Jason is. And then he'll take his frustration. I sometimes think that I domineer the show too much, and that's why Jason picks fights with so many people on Twitter.
Because I have to fight. I'm like, you don't understand. Eddie takes over.
you don't get it. I'm gonna have my show here. I think Jason, if we were still on camera, Jason would have his own announce table with the JS Scratch logo, and me and Catherine would be sitting behind him like, what's that asshole doing? No, and that's the funny thing is, like, Jason is my go-to guy for wrestling because he's a very smart, it's like he knows his shit. So if Jason's sitting there with his arms folded and he's not really talking about wrestling sucks. Like, that's the thing. Jason, like, even at TNA, Jason was getting really into the pay-per-view, and eventually that's what got me into the pay-per-view, was because, like, oh, dude, if he's having fun, then this is a good pay-per-view. Like, yeah, I'm a wrestling fan. He's Das Uber fan. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, Jason and I struggle with this all the time. Like, we're just kind of like, oh, shit, what do we talk about? Like, because if the real fan isn't into it, then, you know, the casual fan, or like me, who, like, I'm a fan, but it's like the girl that she's hot, but you're just like, she doesn't put out, so fuck her. Like, you know, she asked me to do things with her, and I'm like her best friend, but hey, I kind of got feelings for you. Fuck you. I have options. That's what wrestling is to me. Like, you know, like, I don't know. I just, if Jason is not into it, and Catherine's a relatively new fan, if even Catherine is like, fuck this, there's a part of me that's just kind of like, all right, so the real fan and the sort of new fan and then me are all kind of like, yeah, fuck this.
Sort of, it's been like, okay, it's been like 4 or 5 years, which to me is a long time because I tend to get bored of things really easily.
But that's the awesome thing. Like, you get bored. You just said you get bored of things really easily.
Yeah.
You're staying true to the product, but even you're kind of like, meh. Like, I'll go on YouTube and watch old matches. Like,
that's really what I've been doing. I mean, you guys know, like, I've been a fan for a short amount of time, but, like, I've been trying to, like, consume as much wrestling as possible.
Right.
But, I mean, I've been going to indie shows, and, like, I've been watching matches online. When I get bored, I watch promos online of, like, old matches and old things, because
Catherine is the hipster
I'm
of
not
wrestling.
feeling satisfied watching Raw. I'm not
Catherine-
feeling satisfied watching SmackDown.
Catherine's the hipster of wrestling. I was there before he got famous.
No.
Just kidding. Well, Rampage Jackson. Now, this is the free agent in TNA. Now, I like and I hate this because Jason says, oh, it's going to be Lashley. I'm like, oh, fuck, it's going to be RVD. He betrayed us again. Are we going to be mad that we don't know this guy? Because I know all over the fucking message boards on Wrestling Zone, it's like, oh, you guys are going to be so pissed when it's somebody you don't know. I think it's awesome that it's somebody we didn't know because it's a fucking curveball.
I like it. I'm okay with it because the way I processed it to somebody else was WWE is now allowed to go talk to people in the NFL, you know, of the minor league system, guys who didn't make it. That's okay as a catalyst to find somebody new. This is a made guy, a legitimate fighter. They're bringing him in. Granted, it's a dual contract. Well, he'll still do MMA, but he's going to do TNA as well. That's cool. Like, that gives him legitimacy. Like, he's a name. He's going to bring in viewers. He's going to bring in, attention. I don't know. I can't see them missing on this.
Well, because honestly, this is, and I say this, and I'm not like a reformed TNA fanatic or whatever. TNA,
God, no.
They still, and I hate Hogan having a stock in this company. I really do.
Yeah.
But I think Dixie Carter still has a bit of, she's all beauty and money and no brains. She knows what she's doing. She does. What she doesn't need are the people, like, she needs Jarrett. She really does. Like, they were a great fucking team. But I agree with Jason. That guy's going to bring in viewers. That roster is thinner than WWE's roster. And you know what? They'll still make it work. Will they be at the level that WWE's at? I don't ever think they will. But they'll try. And there's nothing wrong with that. They'll fucking try. I think they're about neck and neck with where ECW was at. But
Do you know what's sad? Well, somebody had said that in its best days, ECW has never gotten close to a rating that TNA has been able to pull off weekly, consistently. So
that's because I think that as much as I loved ECW, it was a gimmick company. Like, it was all about bloodbaths and weapons and violence, which is awesome, but it was never going to get mainstream. TNA started off on a high note, and they're trying to go mainstream, which is kind of hurting them, but they're able to get, you know, networks that can reach more viewers. Like, bear in mind, a lot of people have to understand, like, when ECW and then even WWE went to TNN, TNN was a station that wasn't really well known.
yeah,
Like, that was like
it was a country channel.
yeah, it
like,
was it was like the hunting, like, I drive a pickup truck and I shoot deer and blah.
bull rope and
Yeah, like, you have to understand, like, when ECW got that contract, like, I don't know, like, they did the best they could with it, but that's a hard fucking market to work. Like, I probably was more faithful to WAF's Real Rock TV after midnight on the Spanish channel than I was with ECW, because at least it still kind of felt special and different, and like, I have to search for this. Whereas ECW was finally like, fuck it, we'll go to TNN. Like, I don't know. I like the decision because, again, everybody thinks that's the thing. Wrestling is so predictable that people think that the fans are predictable. That we're going to be like, oh, it's not RVD, go fuck yourself. I loved that RVD wasn't the third Paul Heyman guy.
Yeah.
I love that Rampage Jackson is not RVD, and he's not Lashley, or he's not Jeff Jarrett. Because that's unpredictability. I can't sit here and preach unpredictability and then contradict myself by being, it's unpredictable and I hate it. Bullshit. Bullshit. I love unpredictability in wrestling. I love unpredictability in almost everything. Best example before we go. Coachella this past year. Rumored on Twitter, Daft Punk's going to jump on stage with Phoenix because they used to be in a band with one of the members of Phoenix. They're going to go on stage and it's going to be awesome. Our fucking Kelly showed up. The look on my face, and my friend, or Catherine and I's friend Marissa can tell you this, the fucking reaction I had to R. Kelly showing up instead of Daft Punk was that of any time you've had, like, Booker T at the Royal Rumble. That was the reaction I had. I did not see that coming, and I'm just, yes! Like, I just reacted. I didn't get angry. I just reacted, because when you get what you want, it's almost like, okay, I got what I wanted. Like, when you get something, you're like, I know it's going to be this, I know it's going to be this, I know it's going to be this, and then, bam, it's something totally fucking out of left field. Damn, they're geniuses again. Like, that's how it works. That's entertainment. That's how it's always worked. I don't know. 978-276-9418. No one's called us because I don't even think anybody. I can't
You
say no.
insulted the one person that left us a voicemail last time.
I did. I insult a lot. There's so many wrestlers. You smell bad and you're ugly and you shouldn't get laid and you do and I don't and I hate you.
You know how they used to have the Ninja Turtles do the PSAs for kids about, like, watching out for strangers? They should have, like, Kofi Kingston doing PSAs for, like, kids about, like, personal hygiene so they grow up to be more cleanly wrestling fans.
Oh my god. I'm conflicted. Jason won't admit, but I think he's as conflicted as I am, and I know Catherine is, even if she doesn't say. I'm the only one to say it because, well, frankly, if you show up at my house to beat me up, I'll probably just shake your hand and hand you a beer because I'll be like, wow, that's commitment. You actually showed up. This is awesome. Being a wrestling fan has always been a stigma. Watch Beyond the Mat. Even the director was like, I'm ashamed to admit I still watch this shit. Because, again, I don't want to be associated with the lowest common denominator. There are really intelligent, talented, like, enigmatic, cool people that love wrestling that are still in the shadows because they're just like, oh my god, this product is so fucking shitty. Like, when the product is introduced to a fan base of intelligent people that are just like, I'm not ashamed to admit I like this, it's like we can all kind of come out and be like, come out of our shells and be like, oh shit, this is awesome. When it's like, pickup truck, I like Taylor Swift, like, I don't shower and I tried to remove my braces and failed miserably. type of people. It's like, oh my God, I will never get laid again if I say, I'm not getting laid now, but I will never get laid ever if I tell people I like wrestling. I'm so proud of being a wrestling fan that feeling sucks. When it's like, not only do the fans suck, the product sucks. Jason, I'm going incognito. I'm going to wear a mustache and a fedora. It's not because I'm ashamed of you, Jason. I'm ashamed of feeling this way. Like, I want the real fans, the cool fans, like the smart, we shower, get the R out. I'm not a fan of Aces and Eights supporters. I'm a fan of Aces and Eights supporters. You illiterate fuck. I don't even care if you're 12. If you were my son, I would have pushed you in front of the fucking green line trolley. Yes, thank you. I'm so angry I can't finish my sentence. No, I think it's time for the fans to just be like, dude, stop insulting our intelligence. These stupid assholes may not give a shit tomorrow what you do, but we still do.
Yeah.
So, that's where I'm at. This has been Mark's on Commentary. The Doom and Gloom edition. I'm Eddie Brophy.
I'm Jason Smith.
I'm Catherine.
And she's a co-host, a real co-host. So she can hang out with members of Scorpion and get them to play in my bedroom so we can air it on this show.
I'm excited.
It'll probably never happen. Even if we got Striper, I would settle for Striper. Anyways, 978-276-9418 at MO Commentary on Twitter. Like us on Facebook, Mark's on Commentary.